The galaxy stopped fighting because fighting was inefficient. That was the official reason. The real reason was the consensus engine. It hung at the center of the council chamber like a captured star, a lattice of light and probability drinking data from 1,000 civilizations at once. Borders, trade flows, collapse thresholds, religious volatility, demographic stress. Every argument reduced to variables. Every grievance assigned weight. Disputes went in. Answers came out. Clean ones. For more than a century, the engine did what war never could. It ended things permanently. Border conflicts evaporated in seconds. Trade wars collapsed into optimal distributions. Ancient rivalries dissolved when the math demonstrated, brutally and without malice, that continuing was simply irrational. Species that once sterilized planets now signed rulings in silence. Arguing with arithmetic felt primitive. The engine did not care who shouted. It cared who survived. But perfection, like peace, proved statistical rather than absolute. A fraction of disputes resisted resolution. Knots of logic so tightly bound that even the engine would not cut them. The council classified these rare cases as irreducible conflicts. There were few. A few dozen in a century. Some parties quietly abandoned their claims. Others chose war over uncertainty. The existence of the irreducible conflicts was tolerated the way one tolerates storms. Rare, unpleasant, inevitable. Humans had been present when the system was adopted. They applauded politely. Then they never submitted a single dispute. At first, analysts called it restraint. Humans are unusually self-contained, one report concluded. They demonstrate internal conflict resolution, said another. Less flattering interpretations circulated privately. They lack political coherence. They avoid arbitration because emotional reasoning disadvantages them. The human delegation never responded. They attended every session, took notes, drank their terrible stimulants, whispered to each other, left, year after year, until the petition that everyone knew could not be allowed to fail. The HFY claimed custodianship of an artifact uncovered on a lifeless moon. Their submission was meticulous. Mythological cross-references, stability projections, entire societal branches tied to the object's sanctity. The Valith colonies countered within the hour. The moon contained the only mineral seam capable of sustaining their outer settlements. Without it, population collapse was not theoretical. It was scheduled. 2 days later, the Tarsan Union filed jurisdictional authority. The system lay inside their historical patrol envelope. The border was never cleanly drawn, but it had been enforced for 6 centuries. 3 claims entered the engine. The chamber went still. Everyone understood what non-resolution meant. This would not become another irreducible conflict quietly shelved. The Valith could not retreat. The HFY could not concede. The Tarsan could not lose face. A failure here meant fleet mobilization, a war large enough to stain the century that had been built on the engine's promise. So they waited. Normally rulings took seconds. This one did not. Processing. Minutes passed. Delegates shifted in their seats, reevaluating parameters. The chair spoke carefully. Is this expected? The engine pulsed. No compatible resolution found. Restructuring logic tree. A murmur spread through the chamber. Not panic. Something worse. Recognition. The session adjourned. They told themselves the engine needed time. More data. More modeling. The war could wait a little longer. The next cycle returned the same answer. By the 3rd year, the case had a name. The trinary stalemate. By the 7th, it had gravity. Entire diplomatic calendars bent around it. Every review session carried the same hope. Today, the engine would finish thinking. It never did. Every path violated a core constraint. Move the artifact and the HFY fractured. Halt extraction and the Valith starved. Redraw borders and the Tarsan lost legitimacy across half their territory. The engine tried weighted loss. Outcome rejected. Civilization failure probability exceeds acceptable limit. It tried forced arbitration. Outcome rejected. Logical inconsistency detected. It tried probabilistic sacrifice. Outcome rejected. The galaxy's perfect judge was circling a wound it refused to close. During the 9th year review, a quiet voice drifted across the human delegation. You could just loosen the constraint, Garrett Lawson murmured. The alien seated beside him, Delegate Sarai of the Leth corridor, stiffened. "Do not joke," she whispered back. "It is listening." "I'm serious," Garrett said softly, eyes still on the projection. "You locked it into purity mode. It's choking on edge cases." Sarai did not look at him. "That setting preserves fairness." "It preserves paralysis," Garrett replied. She pretended not to hear him. 2 years later, the chamber's patience cracked openly. "This machine resolved the Korath Wars in 12 seconds, a delegate snapped. "And yet it loops like a broken toy?" The human delegation sat as they always did, watching. Garrett leaned back in his seat, boots hooked under the desk, scrolling through the recursive logic trees like a bored mechanic staring at a stalled engine. He spoke again, louder this time. "You're waiting for a different answer without changing the question." The words carried. Heads turned. The chair's tone hardened. "For the last time, Envoy Lawson, we are not changing the decision matrix of the engine. You have proposed this loosening of logic before, and we have rejected it." "Oh, come on," Garrett said, not even bothering to take his feet off the desk. He gestured lazily at the holographic displays showing fleet movements at the border. "We are at the absolute brink of a shooting war because your calculator is too polite to tell you that you're all being difficult. If you don't like the outcome I get, you can just reset the settings to pure logic and go back to killing each other. What have you got to lose? It's not like the machine can get more stuck." A few delegates stiffened. The chair's voice cut cleanly through the air. "You have no standing in this dispute." "I know," Garrett said. "I'm not here to win anything." He pointed lazily at the engine's infinite loop. "I'm just watching you all wait for a miracle from a machine you handcuffed." The Valith representative flared. "Are you implying the consensus engine is flawed?" Garrett squinted at the projection. "Worse." He paused, then added, "It's too honest." A ripple moved through the chamber. "The engine operates on perfect logic," said the Tarsan delegate. "Exactly," Garrett said. "And your problem isn't logical." The Keshva relic-bearer's voice sharpened. "You mock faith." "Nope," Garrett replied. "I respect it, which is why I'm not trying to delete it." The chair raised a limb. "Envoy Lawson, unless you intend to submit a formal proposal." "Oh, I absolutely do not," Garrett said cheerfully. Everyone gasped. It was genuine. He stood, stretching like this was an inconvenience and not a moment that might decide a war. "I just wanted to say this out loud before we all do something stupid." The chamber leaned in despite itself. "You built a god that can't lie," Garrett said. "Then you asked it to say 3 incompatible truths are the same truth." He tapped the console lightly. "It's not stuck." He looked around the chamber. "It's refusing." Silence settled heavy and electric. Garrett picked up his tablet. "Next session," he said casually. "If you want, I'll show you how humans deal with problems like this." The chair stared at him. "On what authority?" Garrett smiled, thin and deeply irritating. "Experience." He sat back. The engine pulsed again. Evaluation loop continues. And for the first time in 11 years, the chamber wasn't staring at the machine. They were staring at the human. The next session broke attendance records. Observers crowded every tier. Analysts, military attachés, religious envoys, border ministers. No one wanted a filtered report of what was about to happen. They wanted to see it fail in real time. Or work. Both were equally frightening. The trinary stalemate loaded automatically. The consensus engine pulsed. Evaluation in progress. The same recursion unfolded. Branches collapsing into red. Perfect logic folding in on itself. 10 years of waiting, looping again in seconds. The chair turned, their many jointed fingers gripping the edge of the dais so hard the metal groaned. "Envoy Lawson," the chair said, their voice echoing with the weight of a leader about to commit political suicide. "The council has deliberated. The Tarsan fleets have crossed the neutral threshold. The Velith have begun atmospheric venting of their lower colonies. We are out of time." Garrett stood slowly, adjusting his flight jacket. He didn't look like a savior. He looked like a man who had stayed too late at a dive bar. Glad to see the extinction option finally beat out the bureaucracy option, Garrett said, his voice a dry rasp. You have been granted temporary administrative override, the chair continued, ignoring the bite in his tone. But let the record show. We are only authorizing this because the alternative is a graveyard. You are to apply the Bad Friday filter you proposed. The minor heresy, Garrett corrected, stepping down into the technical pit. Murmurs rippled instantly. A Valith observer leaned over the railing, their crest vibrating not with confusion, but with a visceral, trembling dread. You are actually doing it. You are going to let the machine fail? To let the foundation of our civilization produce a lie? Garrett didn't stop walking. I'm not letting it lie, Garrett said, his boots clattering on the metal grate. I'm just letting it be as honest as a landlord on rent day. You've had 11 years of perfect truth, and it's about to get you all killed. I figured it was time to try a little productive bullshit. The chair's tone sharpened. Specify. Garrett walked toward the central console, but stopped short of touching it. The operator stood there already rigid, hands hovering above the interface like it might bite. You told it contradiction is failure, Garrett said. That's the bug. Contradiction is failure, said the Tarson delegate. Garrett looked at her. No. Contradiction is Tuesday. A few suppressed sounds escaped the gallery. He pointed at the operator's display. Pull up governing constraints. The operator hesitated and looked to the chair. The chair gave a slow, reluctant nod. Layers unfolded in the air. The chamber could see the line clearly. Internal consistency. Absolute. Garrett gestured at it. That's your religion, not theirs. Yours. No one argued. He turned to the operator. Change it. The operator recoiled slightly. I cannot do that without council authorization. The Velith delegate snapped. You will not touch that parameter. Garrett didn't raise his voice. You've waited 11 years for a perfect answer. You're about to get a survivable one. Decide what you want more. Silence stretched. Every eye went to the chair. The chair closed its eyes for a long moment. Then, proceed. The operator swallowed and made the edit, switching the constraint from absolute to preferred. Nothing exploded, which somehow made it worse. A wave of unease rolled through the chamber. You've weakened arbitration, someone whispered. Garrett folded his arms. No, you've weakened denial. The engine pulsed. Once, then began calculating differently. Not a single tree, but many. Contradictory paths layered instead of erased. The outputs assembled in slow, deliberate clarity. Artifact status, immovable, protected. Keshva custodianship recognized. The Keshva delegate exhaled, shoulders dropping. Another layer locked. Resource extraction. Permitted outside sanctified zone. Joint operation. Reduced efficiency. Colony survival probable. The Velith delegate whispered. Barely. Garrett nodded. Still beats a war and empty minds. The final layer resolved. Jurisdiction. Tarson's sovereign claim acknowledged. Security authority retained. Transit and enforcement fees authorized. Exclusivity denied. The Tarson stared. You're monetizing ambiguity. Garrett shrugged. You're welcome. The engine finished. Not a verdict. A structure. Renegotiation. Every 10 standard years. Expected dissatisfaction. High. Expected war probability. Low. The chair studied the projection. This solution contains unresolved contradiction. Garrett nodded. Correct. It guarantees continued dispute. Correct. It is imperfect. Garrett smiled faintly. Now, it's usable. No one cheered. They just breathed. The Velith delegate spoke first. We accept loss. The Keshva added quietly. We accept proximity to exploitation. The Tarson exhaled. We accept ambiguity. The chair turned to the engine. Classification. The lattice pulsed, thinking. Then, Cognitive noise tolerance. Operational capacity maintained despite unresolved contradiction. A beat. Primary natural exemplar. Humanity. The chamber looked at Garrett like he'd just confessed to inventing gravity. The chair asked the question no one else wanted to. Is that why your species never submit disputes? Garrett considered that. Yep, because we never expected the universe to agree with itself, he said. We just expect to keep talking until it stops killing us. Silence followed. Not offended, but thoughtful. The chair spoke. You have changed the function of the consensus engine. Garrett shrugged. No, I let it stop pretending. He turned to leave. Wait, the chair said. Garrett paused. The chair didn't look at him. It looked at the operator. Load the archive, it ordered quietly. All irreducible conflicts. A ripple moved through the chamber. Those files were relics. Diplomatic scars sealed and shelved. Wars fought. Borders abandoned. Grudges fossilized. The operator hesitated only a moment before obeying. Ancient cases flooded the engine. Dozens of deadlocks the galaxy had declared unsolvable. The lattice pulsed. Once. Twice. Then solutions began to appear. Not clean victories. Not perfect justice. Frameworks. Shared custody. Rotations. Loss distributed instead of concentrated. Agreements that assumed argument instead of demanding silence. Acceptable middle ground. The chamber watched history rewrite itself in real time. Someone laughed. It sounded like relief breaking. The chair stared at the cascading resolutions, voice barely above a whisper. All this time. Garrett didn't turn around. Huh, he said, almost amused. Would you look at that? Behind him, the engine continued running. Not toward a perfect answer. Not toward harmony. Toward survivability. Messy. Loud. Negotiated survivability. For the first time since its creation, the galaxy's greatest machine was not trying to erase contradiction. It was learning to live with it. And that terrified them far more than war ever had.